The Young and the Restless. Today Nick and Sharon mourn Phyllis. Summer tries something new, and Jeremy kicks Phyllis out of town. Nick, alone in a suite at the GCAC, stares out the window. Behind him, Sally approaches. He sobs. Phyllis has passed away. She has indeed passed on. He is in Sally's arms. She tells him she's relieved they spent the night there and wants to know whether he's spoken with Summer. Nick has tried to contact her, but she has declined. Sally is aware that she should feel utter despair. Informing Noah and Faith Nick. He claims that Noah and Allie are now on a trip and that they want to end it early in order to return home. Faith must remain on campus to finish her exams preparations. Sally is inquiring about Christian. Nick is too emotionally distraught to tell him just yet. Sally gushes over Nick to him. Sally assures him that she is a shoulder to cry on whenever he needs her. Nick keeps reflecting on how significant a role Phyllis has had in his life. I can't tell you how much I'll miss her. When Chance and Christine enter Crimson Lights, Sharon is standing there alone and seems distressed. On the patio, they relax. Nikki tells Victor at Society that she could hear the anguish in Nicholas' voice when he called with the news last night. According to Victor, Phyllis was truly exceptional. Phyllis says the coffee in the motel room is terrible. Jeremy acknowledges that this is not Crimson Lights. You had better get used to it though, because you won't be returning to your old life anytime soon. There's no going back, he says her. Everything is falling into place perfectly. Good for you, he continues, to Phyllis's bewildered expression. You're receiving your heart's desire. Kyle checks in on Jack at the Abbott residence to see how he's doing. Jack thinks he's having a nightmare and can't seem to get himself out of it. Even though he and Phyllis haven't exactly gotten along, he still feels a deep sense of loss. He informs his son that he dispatched Diane to the spa. Kyle thinks that's a very smart move. Summer, who is completely captivated by the thought that his mother was responsible for Phyllis's collapse, has left him at a loss for what to do. It's absurd to Jack. Kyle agrees, but she wonders whether she could have been able to pull it off in the past. I'm worried that the cops will get involved because of how this looks for Mom. The end goal, in Jack's mind, is to find Stark. When the doorbell rings at the hotel, Phyllis is taken aback. Who is that? She asks Stark. We're not to let on to anyone else that we are here. Inquiring, did anyone follow you? Jeremy unlocks the door. The man claims he is confident that nobody notices his presence. Jeremy invites the EMT whom Chance spoke with following the accident and pays him. Phyllis is curious if the police bought it. Maybe luck. Did he hear me mutter something about poison in the ambulance? The man asks, and then reassures her that he followed the script to a T. They believed him completely when he said he was the only survivor, and he arranged for a blood sample to be taken from her. He really wants to get this over with. Jeremy encourages him to take the cash and pretend they never existed. He tells the man to stay consistent with his explanation if he's questioned by the police again. Phyllis says the man is nervous after he leaves. Are you confident that you can trust him? Findings from a recent AP/NORC survey. Only a slim majority of Americans are concerned about climate change. On the Crimson Lights terrace, Chance and Christine express their apprehension that they will have yet another mystery on their hands if the talk screen confirms that Phyllis was poisoned. She is dissatisfied with Stark and the suddenness of their wedding, both of which, she says, took everyone by surprise. When Michael comes in, visibly shaken, Chance tells Christine he'll let her know as soon as the test results come back and then leaves. Michael confides in Chris that he and Lauren can't put into words how they feel and that they can't be alone in that. He reports that Lauren is completely disturbed up and that she told him she felt her heart break as a result. The friendship they shared with Phyllis was special. It's hard to believe she's gone that quickly. Chris freely acknowledges that there have been numerous occasions on which she wished Phyllis would permanently relocate. But not like this, Michael chimes in. Chris assures Michael that she will investigate the incident thoroughly and see that justice is done. Michael would want to offer the district attorney some advice. Summer descends the stairs at the Abbott residence. Despite Jack and Kyle's best efforts, she declines breakfast. She finds out that Harrison was removed from the house by the nanny, and she wonders if they were afraid she might lash out at Diane once more. Summer tells him to come back, saying she has things to do and has moved on from her sadness. It's unrelated to Marchetti and urgent. Kyle inquires as to the nature of her duties. Summer is responsible for organizing her mother's funeral. I will be the one to plan a fitting memorial service for my mother. Phyllis, back at the hotel, inquires of Jeremy as to why the ambulance driver didn't mind revealing his true name. Jeremy claims he has no ties, so he's probably already on his way to a tropical island. Phyllis is curious about the Mr. and Mrs. John Doe, who were buried at the crash site in place of her and the driver. Justice, Jeremy wonders, is poetic. Diane tried to fake her death again, but this time she was caught and sent to prison for attempted murder. And I'll be completely erased from existence, Phyllis sobs. Jeremy wishes he didn't have to hear it. Michael tells Christine, outside on the Crimson Lights terrace, that he and Lauren went home in a haze after the gala and that he turned off his phone. He didn't know he'd missed Phyllis's call until much later last night. You absolutely must listen to the voicemail she left for you. Phyllis tells Jeremy in the hotel room that she doesn't really have any regrets but is worried for her children. When she began to stumble, she saw that they were startled and concerned. When she collapsed to the floor, everyone visibly froze in fear. It took me by surprise. After the event, she presses Jeremy for details. What difference, he seems to be asking. He brings up her anger and the feelings of disillusionment and betrayal she had at the time. Remember how your children turned you into the enemy? They sided with her and disregarded you. Stark adds, which is precisely what you need to do: grieve, heal, and move on. Summer expresses her gratitude to Nikki and Victor for visiting the Abbott home. She will not waste any more time sobbing. Grandpa, you know that's not the Newman way, right? Kyle explains that Summer's main priority right now is the memorial service for Phyllis. Summer insists it needs to reflect her own refined taste. Nikki assures her that they will be there for her. She offers to help, but Summer angrily tells her not to treat her like a baby or accept her help. A hug from Victor. Nick tells Sally in their suite that something is wrong. Phyllis was the very definition of life. Even if there were moments he wished she wouldn't, she never called it quits and lived life to the utmost at all times. He was attracted to her vibrant spirit. When they first met, he was at his lowest moment in life. To put it plainly, I don't. Phyllis saved him from drowning and he feels awful about betraying Sharon. Sharon, over at Crimson Lights, is having a similar conversation with Chance, revisiting the same period of history. She recalls learning about the affair between Nick and Phyllis. It was the beginning of her competition with the redhead and the beginning of her connection with him. She was a giver as well as a taker. Listen, I don't care if you loved Phyllis or despised Phyllis. She had a gift for arousing intense feelings in people. And she made certain that her presence was felt and not forgotten. Nick informs Sally that his relationship with Phyllis was always extremes in the suite. She was fascinating, intriguing, intransigent, and exasperating all at once. Sally inquires as to what transpired between them. Nick claims that they weren't destined to be together, but they remained good friends nevertheless. There was a very kind person hiding beneath that irritating demeanor. Sharon tells Chance at Crimson Lights that she and Phyllis settled their differences. She remembers how unexpectedly polite people were to her while she was through cancer treatment. She surprised me in so many ways. Everyone who has dealt with her admits that she was unpredictable. And now they're both gone, Sharon sighs. Nick tells Sally in the suite that his relationship with Phyllis is unbreakable. She was completely devoted to her children, and they felt the same way about her. The thought of Summer overcoming this situation gives him chills. Nikki merely wishes to be of assistance to the Abbott family. Summer says she's sorry for being short, but she has to make sure her mother's funeral is perfect. She won't leave her mother feeling the same way she did when she left this world. Regardless of how she chooses to handle the memorial service, Kyle insists that she let everyone present be there for her. Summer nods and exits the room. Jeremy told Phyllis at the motel that she needed to stop having second thoughts right now. This is their fault, and now they must bear the consequences. He feels it's best for them to divorce now, but will always cherish the memories of their brief time together. Phyllis thinks he should because he grew from the experience. Jeremy thinks it's sweet that she revised her will to leave half to her children and half to her devoted husband. She thinks he got away with murder. Stark reassures her that she may start afresh, with a new name and a large sum of money. If you want to, you can go wherever you want and do whatever you want. If she hasn't already, he inquires as to where she plans to start over. Phyllis failed to make any contingency plans in case their plan failed in any way. The world, according to Jeremy, is her play area. You're smart enough to start over, and Diane will spend the rest of her life where she belongs, in jail. Michael plays the voicemail from Phyllis on the patio of Crimson Lights, in which she warns him that Diane is completely out of her mind. I am so afraid right now. She plans to eliminate any and all obstacles after she conned Jack into proposing to her. I realize you might think I'm exaggerating, but hear me out. The situation is critical. Just now, the woman attacked me and said she was going to murder me. I can't believe I'm saying this, but that insane bay asterisk touch scares me. Christine is stunned, then bursts out laughing. Phyllis, with whom I have fought for decades, has disappeared, for no apparent reason. And I, her deadliest enemy, am the only one who can find out what occurred and make things right for Phyllis. Michael lets out a hearty guffaw. Now, at long last, he laughs. Phyllis's involvement here seems deliberate. Jack and Victor talk about their worries for Summer at the Abbott residence. They can't believe Phyllis's death actually happened. Victor inquires as to whether or not Jack thinks it's odd that the ambulance went down. He said his team visited the crash site and found that the ambulance took a back way to the hospital. Jack is baffled as to why they were even on Collins Road. If Victor is looking for information, he should consult Jeremy Stark, he says. Although Victor somewhat agrees, he concerns whether or not the correct questions are being asked of him. Nick walks around the suite, checking his phone while he does so. Because Summer has him, Sally says, she'll figure out a way to get through this. She is confident he will lend a hand to her. Nick says she's already ignoring him and he's upset about it. Sally tells him she's in shock right now. I can understand that. Like you have guided me through my pregnancy. All she needs now is some direction from you. Nick is eager to participate. When Summer is ready, Sally assures him she will come to him. She thinks the world of you. She probably just wants to know that she can count on you to be there for her no matter what. Nick will do everything it takes to ease her suffering and restore her sense of security. But he is unable to ensure that everything would be fine. Once her mother passed away, her life has changed drastically. Sally embraces him. Chris, sensing Michael's internal turmoil, asks him to interpret the message on the patio of Crimson Lights. For Phyllis to leave a message like that, Michael says, we know she wasn't afraid of anything. Chris thinks it's obvious she was terrified of Diane. Nevertheless, why? Jeremy tells Phyllis she must leave Genoa City immediately and places a call to the airport from the hotel. Phyllis is undecided about her future. Starks warns her against going there because of the danger. You won't be around after tonight. Phyllis learns that memorial services are being organized for her from a news article she reads on her phone.